All right. Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, but it's a little bit later than normal. It's 10 o'clock. If you all are watching, listening to the podcast later, it doesn't matter to you. But if you're watching us live on Facebook, just thank you for giving us grace to come on an hour later than normal. There was a lot of activity going on the family side, and it needed our attention. So we are here now, and we're going to talk to you about something a lot of you all may know about, some of you all don't know about, all of you all should know about. Tesla recently invested $1.5 billion into Bitcoin, or I should say, they purchased $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, and everybody's wondering, what does that mean for me? What does that mean in general? So we're going to talk about that today. Leon's going to tell you why we chose that topic, as I do some housekeeping.
Yeah, so this is big news. So I mean the I guess the biggest thing of 2020 so far has been cryptocurrencies, and a lot of people are getting into crypto. A lot of people are now reading about crypto, and crypto is just the catch-all for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and just any cryptocurrency out there. Crypto is just the catch-all for it. So crypto, the industry of the space has been on fire this year. SPACs, SPAC was a big thing in 2020, and it's still huge this year. A new way for companies to come public, but cryptocurrencies have been just on absolute fire this year. And those of us who are kind of, I'm a geek for this stuff, so I follow it 24/7. Woke up Monday morning to hear that Mr. Elon Musk and Tesla, well, actually Tesla, not Elon Musk, but Tesla, they in their SEC filing, they divulged that they had invested $1.5 billion in buying Bitcoin, and a lot of people didn't know what that really meant. How does it affect them? How does it affect the stock? For so people that own Tesla, doesn't really mean much. But for people that own Bitcoin or looking to buy Bitcoin, it was huge. Like, there's no other word. It was a massive thing because a lot of a lot of regulators around the world and in the United States find Bitcoin and find cryptocurrencies to be a joke, find them to be almost threatening to the country's native currency. And actually, just speaking of countries, Nigeria last week actually banned all cryptocurrency. So, and the funny thing is, Nigeria I believe, has the second or the most volume of trading in cryptocurrency in the world. So the country of Nigeria banned all cryptocurrency. All the exchanges there are now struggling to figure out what they're going to do. People that own coins are struggling what they're going to do. And so it was kind of like this thing where when that came out, I was like, well, where is crypto actually going? Where is Bitcoin going to go? That was over the weekend. And then Monday, boom, this news comes out that Tesla has dropped $1.5 billion into Bitcoin, which basically kind of made people forget about the whole Nigeria thing, or made people just forget about in general, like, is cryptocurrency going away? Because Tesla is one of the largest companies on the planet. It's one of the most influential companies on the planet. Elon Musk, we all know him, love him or hate him, he's one of the most influential people and CEOs on the planet. So when Tesla came out and said they're buying $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, huge, totally helped in some ways legitimize Bitcoin and cryptocurrency a little more. The U.S. government is still kind of on the fence about it. They don't know if they want to kind of give it their blessing or not. But that definitely, by Tesla doing what they did, it's really going to make it harder now for the U.S. government to try to put down Bitcoin, because it already has this huge following, kind of like a cult following. And now you have the recent entrant into the S&P 500, Tesla, one of the biggest car companies in the world, the biggest electric vehicle company in the world, now saying not only do they invest in Bitcoin, but now they're going to accept payment in Bitcoin. So just a massive move for Bitcoin and Tesla.
And one of the things too, for when you're thinking like, well, what does this mean for Tesla? Again, you talk about the fundamentals. Did anything fundamentally change with the company? What happened? And like most things for Elon Musk, this puts him into a more popular category. And when you go into a more popular category, it is going to change how car companies respond. And so other car companies are going to say, oh, well, we need to start accepting Bitcoin for our cars. And this is totally my guess. And he has often pushed the market to somewhere it was headed to, but maybe not ready to go. And all of a sudden they have to go there because he's there. And you don't, in this car company, it's a very small margin in new car sales, like in regards to the profit they make from new car sales. So every advantage you get inside the marketplace can push you way ahead of your competition. And also, don't forget, most people, when they buy their first car, they become very loyal to that car brand or that manufacturer. So this, in my opinion, you know, I'm saying this is not even IEA because you know I haven't discussed it, but just in my opinion, is going to force other car companies to get on board. And when they get on board, it's going to then legitimize Bitcoin even further. When that legitimizes Bitcoin even further, it's going to drive up the stock price. And as it drives, it's going to drive the price per coin higher. As these companies also start to adopt it, it makes it thus a more hard or more difficult for the governments to deny the legitimacy of the coin and or treat it like a true, you know, if it's going to be a commodity as like what class does it fall in. They're going to have to figure it out, and they're going to have to figure out it for Bitcoin. Not saying, well, how do we sidestep it? How do we get around Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin is not the favorite. It's Ethereum right now. Ethereum is the favorite when it comes to governments. Bitcoin is arguably amongst the favorite for the retail coin holder, and so it is going to have a cause and effect. It's going to be it's going to ripple through the car market. And for Tesla, I don't think it's going to be the big hit, but I do personally think it's going to drive the popularity up because it has a cool factor. And you know, with that cool factor, you think about all these people that have just become millionaires and probably some billionaires out there who were made, they're Bitcoin billionaires, they're Bitcoin millionaires. They're like, well, if I have it and this guy's supporting it, I'm going to spend my money with them. And anytime somebody wins money by way of lottery or, and I'm actually comparing crypto right now to lottery. So sorry for all you crypto people who are like, that's not accurate. I'm not talking about the coin itself. I'm talking about the psychology that follows the win. And the psychology that follows the win, many people are seeing it. And I'm sure if you actually broke down the brain patterns of individuals who woke up and saw a coin go from 20,000 to 40,000 or a coin go from $9 to 20,000, the brain pattern is probably very similar to a person who won the lottery. And as we all know, many people treat that as found money. Found money is managed very differently than invested or, you know, earned capital. And so you have Tesla over here saying, I'll take your Bitcoins. I support you all. I also too have put my money in the hat. I think it's going to bring a lot of people over to Tesla that were on the fence whether they should get something from Tesla or not.
Yeah, and to show, and so for everyone watching and listening, look up a company named MicroStrategies. The company's name is MicroStrategies. Yo, this company, this cat named Mike, his name is Mike. So the company's name is MicroStrategies. The CEO's name is Michael Saylor. He's been around since the 90s. They do like business intelligence software. Really brilliant guy. But this dude, yo, he took almost all the money on the company's balance sheet. I believe it was October of last year, and put, well, all maybe a bit much. He put a substantial amounts of the company, of the cash on hand the company had in the bank, and bought Bitcoin. So anyone who knows where Bitcoin has been the last 6 months, he's had like a 300% return on either a few. I think he invested. I think they invested close to 500 million. So that 500 million is now worth close to $2 billion. And he did this just in October, November of last year. So this shows what can happen when companies take money from their balance sheet and put it into Bitcoin. Now, will it happen all the time? We have no idea. It worked out great for Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. And also MicroStrategy stock. I looked it up earlier. It was $100 a year ago, or even, no, it was $100, I think, like mid last year. Today, I think it closed like $980 some odd dollars. So because they did this investment into Bitcoin, as Brent said, Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy became cool, right? And the stock got bid up from $100 up to almost $1,000 in about 6 months. So they've seen a ridiculous return on their stock price and a ridiculous return on the money they put into Bitcoin, going, you know, a return of like 300 to 500%.
Yeah.
So Leon,
real quick, on that note, about 6 months ago, on one of my companies, I stopped cashing checks that came or payments when people pay me. I stopped cashing them in, and I just started buying Bitcoin with the money. It was a certain segment that I didn't necessarily need immediately, so I was like, "Oh, this is operating capital just sitting." So I started buying Bitcoin with it, and it was a very good decision.
Yep.
So, this was roughly about 5-6 months ago. So it's that strategy is very real, and it goes back to like some of you are watching may have that FOMO, right? It's fear of missing out, but then it's also fear that I missed the run. And so we definitely want you to stay tuned today because we're gonna talk about some of that stuff.
Yeah, bro. So if you could pull up the first slide or the other slide.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just run through kind of just some kind of some of the key points of what happened this week with the Tesla announcement. So first point, of course, is Tesla bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Huge, massive. Like I said, Michael Saylor, who did this back in November, October, has seen a 200-300% return on their money. Great run for Bitcoin. Will that happen again? Will that happen for Tesla? We have no idea. One thing I want to say also is that people think that Bitcoin will run forever, right? So back in 2017, Bitcoin was doing what it's doing now, right? It was running every day, making tons of money. And then December of 2017 came,
Yep.
and over the next year, so basically all of 2018, Bitcoin dropped 80%. 80%. So anyone who was in Bitcoin in late 2017 lost 80% of their money if they stayed in investment by the end of 2018. So Bitcoin is now, of course, it went from like 20,000 down to like 3,000, and now of course it's at like 45,000. So could it drop again 80%? Yes, but we've seen when it did, it came right back and went to all-time highs.
Yeah.
So this is a huge risk.
Before we leave that space, for people watching, Leon and I always talk about market corrections, right? When you get to that market correction of about 20-25%, maybe 30% in any given year, the market may do that. The overall market may do that. Now, in the crypto world, a correction could be anywhere from 60 to 75%, 40 to 75%. So, and you don't know when. Honestly, sometimes in crypto is no rhyme, no reason. It's still very new. It's still extremely new. Behavior patterns of coin holders. Dog coin was a joke, and now this thing is taken off. It was literally meant to be a joke, and so the market doesn't make sense just yet. No, so just as you invest in it, there were people, while Leon is talking about that, and I wanted to touch on it before you left this point, Leon, with that increase from that 3,000 to, I'm sorry, when crypto hit about 20, Bitcoin in particular, when it hit 20 and then went down to 3, you had massive suicides. And, we need to talk about that. It wasn't just one instance. It was many, because people were mortgaging their homes. They just wanted to get in. They didn't want to miss this run. They thought it'd go forever. And that's why we talk to you all about just the practical side of investing. You have to understand what type of money are you using. And I'm not even going to do our little joke, but everybody knows, like me and Leon always talk about risk capital. And then I've heard some of you all using our term, curious money. Like people call me talking about, Brent, I got curious money. What should I do? I'm like, this is crazy. But, when you're looking at risk capital or curious money, then there's also primary funds. And that's the money that you're like buying medicine with, paying for your mortgage, buying groceries. Don't think all of a sudden that because this crypto is new and it's going to keep running, that you can cash in that fund and invest it, and you're going to all of a sudden, be the next millionaire. Some of these people making billions and millions of dollars are also putting hundreds of thousands in. They're putting in millions of dollars. And if you're playing with $10,000, and I'm not saying 10,000 is a little bit of money for anybody listening to this or watching live, but if the coin goes from 40 to 50 and you have 10,000, and you may make about $2,000. And so you're like, well, why didn't I get that? It's because you didn't look at it from a holistic standpoint. Your percentage investment is only a fraction of the total coin cost, unless you are buying the total coin, which is 44, 46, 47,000. Literally, we can keep going because it changes every second. Crypto is one of the few things that trades around the clock 24/7. And so it creates a different amount of stress. And I'm talking to those who who don't manage stress well. And I'm talking to those right now who think, okay, this is cool to get into, but they're not thinking about the drag it's going to have on their mind and their emotions. Don't run to it thinking it's the golden coin. I mean, like there are other investments. We've had investments inside of IEA that have grown over 300% in the last year, more than one. And so the market still is an amazing place. And for those like, oh, I'm jumping ship, I'm going crypto, don't abandon the stock market. It doesn't make sense. And also, it doesn't mean that you don't go into crypto. I invest in crypto. I've already said it. Leon invests in crypto, but just do it with the strategy and do it understanding it should be part of your portfolio. And I fully would default to Leon on this because he is more disciplined than I am, because I am the person that will kind of swing for offenses. But in situations like this, I'm also the person like, nope, nope, nope. We need a strategy. I'm not putting more than 10% of my portfolio in cryptocurrency because I just don't trust it. I don't know where it's going to go. But I'm also like, I want to have some exposure, so I'll do 10%, or I'm going to put in what I call curious money or risk capital. Either one of those work for me in crypto right now. And so just know what kind of money you're investing. When you hear this, when you get in, also have a plan on when you're getting out. There's a lot of people that watched that whole avalanche occur when it went from 20 to 3,400 and some dollars. And I will tell you this, even when Bitcoin ran up to 47, my trigger to get out was 45. So when it went below 45, I sold. And then I got back at like 40, 42. And so, it worked for me. It could have went another way. It just happens that it worked. And, in that space, I had a strategy. Have a strategy. And I'll tell you this, if it got below 40, I wouldn't have got back in until I saw it hit like 34, because I think that's probably the level it would have gone to if it broke through the floor of 40. And so, just have a strategy when you're doing this stuff. Don't think it's just, all right, I'm going to win. And you don't know if you're using short-term money or long-term money. Make sure you know what type of money you're using, because the strategy has to match your length of investing time.
Yeah, and just quick story, like on that topic of like strategy. So over the weekend, because again, I'm a geek for this stuff. I watch it 24/7. I live this. So I was watching, kind of just had, checking Bitcoin on my phone every hour or so. And I saw that it was, so cryptocurrency dropped over the weekend. And I think Bitcoin's down like 12%, Ethereum's down like 8%. So when I saw that, I was like, man. So before this happened, crypto was about 4% of my portfolio. When I saw this drop, I was like, okay, now as Brent said, my I have a range, right? So no one position gets any larger than anywhere between 5 and 10%. So at the time, crypto was roughly 4% of my portfolio. So I had room, right? So I was like, okay, I like this drop. It's a nice pullback. Nobody saw it coming. I heard the thing about Nigeria, they had canceled crypto. So I was like, okay, a lot of people are going to be bailing on it. So I was like, all right, so I doubled my position. So I went from about 4% to 8% of my portfolio in crypto. And I got a gift Monday morning, because when I woke up Monday morning, that position was up 25% because of the Tesla news. But as Brent said, I didn't just jump in with like, okay, let me go half of my position on it now because crypto was down. No, I said, okay, I know I don't go over 10%. I was at 4% over the weekend. I doubled to 8%, and now I'm good. Like, I'm good for now. If I increase the size of my portfolio, then with deposit more money, then I can increase my size of all positions. But right now, I'm maxed out in crypto because I'm at 8%. So that just goes to the point of like Brent said, have a strategy. This isn't get rich quick. Crypto can go to, it lost 80% 3 years ago. It could do it again tomorrow. So just have it, just kind of know what you're doing. The money you're using should be, as Brent said, curious money or risk capital, in that if you lose it, you won't really affect you.
Yeah. So Leon, it was somebody Matisse put into the comments, curious money with the TM behind it.
Okay.
First mover advantage. Can't be mad at that.
Yeah, no, not at all.
But and then the comment came in from Mo. He said, thanks for saying that about millionaires. And I think it's true that, we have to recognize how much these people are willing to risk for the reward that they're getting. And some of us are retail coin investors. We're thinking, well, why isn't my 1,000 a million yet? Or, I put in 100 for the first time. How come I don't have 20,000? That's not the way it works. So that is, I'm glad you're glad that we said that. But then also the question came in, does this mean to put in a stop loss? And for me, yes, but the stop loss that you put in needs to be based off your investing strategy. And also it depends on the type of money you're using. And anybody who's, and it basically works like this, and we'll lay it out for you right now. If you're investing money that you need, non-discretionary funds, money that you need, money that you buy groceries, pay the rent, or buy your medicine with, your stop for me, and Leon, jump in at any point if this sounds crazy to you. Yeah, a stop loss for me, if I were using that money, number one, I would not use that money. Again, I would not use that money. Again, I would not use that money. Okay, so for those of you all who are using that money, um, I literally wouldn't let it move more than, I say, 7% on a downside. And the only reason I'm even doing 7, because if it were a stock, I wouldn't say 7. I'd say like 4 or 3. But because crypto moves, so you got to give it room to naturally do what it does. Like, its variation for the days could be 20% swings.
Yeah,
So
Bitcoin on average moves about 10 to 12% per day.
yeah.
So yeah, you got to give it room to breathe.
You have to. So I would say, so 7 is just because it's necessary money. It's non-discretionary funds. Now we're moving into discretionary funds. I'm gonna call that first category the IEA risk capital category. If it's an IEA risk category, risk capital category, this is money that you can afford to lose. I would set my stop loss, which means anybody listening, it's just a point at which you can't do it with crypto right now, I don't believe, but you would have to just track it yourself, where you would say, I want it to sell. Like, I want my money back. Because I want my money back if this thing goes south. I would put it somewhere in the 15 to 22 range, because you really do want to give it room to just be what it is, cryptocurrency. If it's curious money, I wouldn't set anything. I would just set it based on time. I wouldn't put a percentage stop loss on it. And you can also do what's called a trailing sell, but that's a whole nother category. We actually can talk about that inside the IEA platform if anybody's interested. I wouldn't set it for curious money. I would just let it exist, and I will go to sleep and not think about it. I would just wait for it to, do what cryptocurrency is going to do.
Yeah, see, I don't use stop losses because so I track volatility, and I kind of know, like I said, I mean, Bitcoin moves on average 10 to 12% per day. And if something moves that much per day, we have no idea how it's going to move, right? So it could, I mean, crypto, if crypto has a week where it's down a week where it's down every day, right? If it's moving 10% per day, it could be down, 50% in a week. I mean, if it just kept going, right? So I don't use stop losses. I look at everything in that kind of that through that lens where I know I know on average what it's going to move per day, and the money I put in, I'm willing to lose, right? So remember, like I said, my stuff in my portfolio, no more than 10%, but I'm typically more between 4 and 6%. So if I get into crypto, it's going to be, like I said before, I was at 4%. If I lost it, I lost it. I mean, that's part of the game, right? I mean, I told the story before. I was down 80 or 90% on MetaFast, ticker symbol MED. Got it at 150 during the whole thing during COVID. It dropped to, I think, below 50. So I was down like 40, 50% on the money. And, most people are like, oh my God. And I didn't even know I was down. Like I had no idea I was down that much because one, my whole portfolio was down because it was in March. So everything was down. But that one glaring being down 50%, I didn't notice it because again, it was a small portion of my portfolio.
Dude, that's like you were stunned. You were like,
not at all. Not at all. Not
I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice.
The moral of the story is my positions. So real quick, right now my portfolio is made up of 27 stocks, and no stock is bigger than roughly 4 to 6%. So, and that to me is quote unquote my stop loss. That's my risk management. In that if one were to go to zero, it wouldn't blow my account. Like the whole stock market would have to go almost to zero for my account to blow, because I'm so spread out across many different sectors, many different stocks, and I'm small in each one, right? So if one goes down big, another one's up big, it kind of balances out. So I don't use stops. My risk management is just having the position sizes be small enough that if it were to go to zero, it wouldn't really affect me that much. But of course, the other side of that is that I'm picking quality stocks, doing my research. I know the company. I know how they move generally. I know their earnings. I know these companies, so I feel pretty safe with them. And again, I rode MetaFast down 80%. After I sold it, I posted it in our membership platform inside IA. I ended up selling it at 133% gain after being down 50 to 60%. So that's just an example of if you know the company you're invested in and you're willing to ride out some losers, they eventually will. If they're a quality company, they will come back. So
yeah. And also too, I think we need to reiterate, I don't believe that you can establish a stop loss on a cryptocurrency yet. So unless it's happening and I'm just unaware of it, you really just have to track it and know what your numbers are. And so, and I saw the comment come up, I wish I would have done that with AMC. I did that with AMC. I had a stop loss. And so it's the one time I think I've ever put a stop loss on Curious Money. And I did it just because I was like, you know what? I don't even believe in what I'm doing. I'm just doing it it was the gamification of it all. I just wanted to play the game. And so I put in a stop loss for Curious Money, which I would normally never do. And and Leon, this is where Leon and I kind of do come together. I normally don't put stop losses on any of my positions because the companies that we choose more often than not are very high quality companies that give a rate of return that's kind of awesome. Because if you look at the picks that Leon and I have done, as we will give you 2 picks today, the picks that we've done up until this point, our return is somewhere like maybe 50, 40, 44.
It's over there now because Tilray today was up 50% by itself.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you I think I gotta go there and look at it, but I think we're north. The average return of the stocks we picked since April of last year, our average return is about 50%.
Yeah. So you think about doing 50%. If you were to drop $500,000, you're talking about having made $250,000. If these numbers are crazy. I mean, we've had clients call us and not clients. I still get that financial consulting, but we've had people who have been invested the IEA way. Let's say that, who've done 100,000 in a 6-month period, and that's or like just shy. They're 96,000. We've made millionaires. It's all these things have done, and so at this point, when we're looking at this crypto. And I tell you, I have a portfolio that I manage, and in the space, Tesla is 25% of the portfolio. And when I say since last year winning, oh my gosh. But like, who does that? Who makes one stock a 25% position? That's a total single stock risk portfolio. And if anybody who's watching, like, what's single stock risk? Is when you hold a position that is just balanced in regards to the overall portfolio. If that one stock goes north or south, you're going to lose big. But for me, sometimes you got to understand what the company's doing. And when I say it's dancing on cylinders, it's a happy time. And so for even Tesla, let's jump back into the slide, Leon. I gotta say, this is amongst our highest engagement. So like, we see you all talking, and Leon actually, and I mentioned this last time, it seems like when we're talking, we get the most engagement. Is this the format you all are looking for? Because
that's just kind of,
I'm curious if you think the format where we're just kind of loosely talking about these things and giving our real world strategy is something you want to see. If you can just put a 1 in the comments, that will help us understand. If you prefer, like, we go slides and bullet by bullet, and that really helps you kind of get the understanding of the information better, if you can put a 2 in. So again,
or if you like both, put a 3 in.
If a combination, let's drop a 3. So 1, if you like the conversational style with us kind of just having an overall structure and talking. 2, if you prefer, like, hey guys, stick to the bullets, get it done. Like, stop all that jibber jabber. So, or if it's 3, like, you know what, I really like a combination of both. Okay, so 3 is by far the dominant. We have I think we're at like 88% threes. Probably it's like 92, like 92% threes.
Oh yeah, okay. So the combination.
Yeah. Jibber jabber is good. So yeah, every they're all coming in threes. No,
Okay,
this is good information because
that's good
as we
information. Yeah.
evolve, we're trying to evolve in a format that, number one, it helps you all understand the market. It also gives you an understanding, like, can I digest this information enough for me to make a decision on how I invest? Because we realize not everybody that watches these lives are IEA members, and we do a lot of stuff inside the platform that you know not everybody even knows happens. If you think we do a lot here, you should be in our membership. But we also, the reason why we do these is because we don't want people to feel like the only way they're going to get the information is only by becoming a member. And this is kind of Leon and I's, this is stuff we would talk about anyway. So we,
Right.
want to have this information available to the general population because maybe somebody can't afford $200 a year and it's too much. We want you to come here and get good information. So that is why we do this. And that's why we don't hold back. If you ever watch this, we every now and then we won't release like a list or talk about other stocks because we have to give our members what they paid for. We have to give them information that we don't give anybody else. But we really give a lot on each one of these lives. So yeah, and we're gonna keep doing it because we're starting to give more in each one of our membership levels. We're like cranking it up a little bit, and yeah, we're really like more so like that insider Panther level. We're about to pour ourselves into those, but if you're a community member, you're still getting great value. Like I would say that we give more than most platforms. So with that being said, my bad. We
Yes.
almost all of them though, Leon. Like we just got like it was like an explosion of comments. So
Well, all right, you read like I guess maybe pick some out and I'll go through the slide to get this.
yeah. So one this is my cousin, so she has priority, right? And so she said, you guys' conversation is helpful for me as well as the bullet points. So she also likes the bullet points.
Okay.
And then the contrast between the two, you all honestly is very helpful because it gives two different sides of investing. So that's cool.
Cool. All right. Nice. All right. So this not going to slide. So big, like you said, big news. Tesla bought $1.5 billion in crypto. But what does that actually mean, right? So the biggest thing that jumped out at me when I first saw this was that the 1.5 billion was 8% of Tesla's cash on hand. So let's just round it up to 10%. Tesla took roughly 10% of all their money and dumped it into something that dropped 80% 3 years ago. So that was just mind blowing to me, that a company of this size with that type of money would risk. I mean, because like I said, the company that, like the one I mentioned earlier, MicroStrategies, they only invested about 400 million, right, when they did it, and they had a great return. Tesla went 1.5 billion, 8% of all their cash they have on hand. Cool. Huge investment. I mean,
Elon doesn't go small.
Nope. That's why he owns a space company. He owns Tesla. He owns. Yeah, I mean,
this solar. I could build a better rocket. Who says I can build a better rocket than NASA?
Right, right. The NASA, right, the government, right. So another big point came out of this was that they're going to now accept Bitcoin as far as payments. So soon you actually be able to go in there and be able to buy a car via Bitcoin, which is, again, no other car company has done that. Next bullet point, they're the first car automaker in the world, I believe, to accept Bitcoin. Definitely the first one in the United States to accept Bitcoin. Another next point is really big. This helps legitimize Bitcoin hugely because, as I said, Nigeria just made cryptocurrencies illegal. The whole country, you cannot trade it, and you can't transact it. So,
Leon,
so a lot of
with that, I want to say it has something to do with the dark web, but I want to do some research because I don't want to.
Well, I mean, so from what I read is yeah, I mean, part of it was like, because I mean, like here, like Janet Yellen, the new Treasury Secretary, she came out and said that that the United States needs to do something about cryptocurrency because it's mostly used by criminals to do illegal activities, right? So there's this notion and this kind of this narrative around the world that Bitcoin and all these cryptocurrencies are being used by criminals in the quote unquote dark web to do a lot of illegal things. So part of it was that, but also they also said that they felt like it was going to destabilize their economy because like I said, Nigeria either has the most or the second most, I believe, ownership of Bitcoin and or transaction of Bitcoin in the country of Nigeria. So it was a huge thing there. And the government was like, well, we need to slow this down because it may overtake our own, their national currency. So so Elon Musk doing what he did with Tesla buying $1.5 billion of Bitcoin was huge. I seriously doubt now the United States, even they were thinking about it, will come to a position where they're going to ban Bitcoin or ban cryptocurrencies, because when a company the size of Tesla and influential of Elon Musk does something like this, the herd just follows. I mean, we all see with the Wall Street bets thing with Reddit, how they ran up all those stocks, and that was basically rebelling, quote unquote, against the man, right? A lot of that was. I mean, I don't know if any of you all ever checked out Wall Street Bets. It's really interesting, like human psychology, to just go through and read some of the stuff. But a lot of them on there said, "Look, I will lose $1 million as long as a hedge fund goes out of business because of this." Like to a lot of them, it wasn't running up those stocks. Wasn't about even them making money. They just wanted to put these hedge funds out of business because they feel like they're they have their foot on the necks of the common man. They're the people that caused the financial crisis in 2008. So a lot of it was like kind of this populist movement, more than just a lot of it wasn't even really about making money. I mean, a lot of it was, of course, but a lot of it wasn't.
And also too, if you all don't follow Wall Street Bets, please understand that they talk about hundreds of trades in a day sometimes, and many of them fail. So don't think like if you aren't familiar with them, like, oh, they got the magic button over there. They do not. And even the founder came forward like, this was crazy. So many of our planned investments never ever work. So this was kind of a shock even to us. And so when you're looking at investing, there's no just gold button really in that case where you just push it and money just starts shooting out of ATM somewhere. Many of their investments, if you were just to go in there with the wrong mentality thinking, oh, they must pick all winners, so anything I see on the next thread, I'm all in, you will lose your shirt. And don't get it twisted. Like, investing is something, and this is where Leon and I do agree. Like, you have to do your research. You have to pick companies with strong fundamentals. You have to know what type of money you're using, how you can risk it. And also too, we're talking about cryptocurrency right now. Like, not even because she's my tax attorney, but not because she's an IEA Panther. Just full disclosure for anybody listening. But you want to make an appointment with Attorney Beverly Winstead, because most of us who are invested in this Bitcoin stuff have no idea how it's going to affect our taxes. And again, we talked about this before, and I really, truly, truly, truly want to stress this. Many of us think we're just going to sweep the returns under the rug. We won't talk about it. Shh, nobody has to know. And at some point, the IRS is going to come knocking. And if they do knock, I want an IRS litigation attorney on my side who can say, you know what? No, regulation says this. You all changed it on this date. You all did this. Please don't play around with this cryptocurrency thing. Look up the law office of Attorney Beverly Winstead. She is a tax attorney. This is somebody you need, helping you with your taxes, or even just helping you understand what is this cryptocurrency. Because if you just went from 20,000 to 40,000 and think there is no tax implications, you are wrong. So please don't play around with this. If you all want to become members of IEA to start having more conversations like this on a regular basis, please, the link is in the top description, IEAmembers.com. Some of you all in the last month have become members, so welcome all of you all. Definitely happy to have you. But we're moving into a place where we want to have real success, like long-term success. And that means understanding the investments, understanding your strategy, being willing to make that call. And this sounds horrible, but if any of you all are on this, listening to the podcast or listening to us live, and you're being cheap about how you want to become a millionaire, you're probably broke. And that might be a hard, ooh, who are you to say that? The mentality of people who try to become a millionaire as cheaply as possible doesn't make sense. Because most people who understand real wealth know they have to spend money to make money. It's no different in this race to becoming a millionaire. And so if you're trying to grow a business and you're trying to be as cheap as possible how you grow your business, but you want your clients to pay you top dollar, your business is probably going to fail because you don't understand how business really works. And so in this space, just please understand, take the right precautions, hire people who can help you through this Bitcoin marketplace, because it's going to be very real. And that's just me. That's Brent's comment. That is not Leon's comment. And so, I know sometimes I get my little text, I know, but I got to tell it like it is. I've met so many people trying to become a millionaire as cheaply as possible. And I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. So
then they work that way.
yeah, like
Yeah.
these people who are making millions in some of these investments are risking a lot, and I would even argue to say they earned it for being willing to take that kind of risk.
Yeah, I
So
mean, and risking that type of money,
yeah,
to get, to take 10, to become a millionaire is extremely hard, and to do it cheaply, as Brent said, is even harder.
yeah,
So, I mean, I don't even carry the millionaire mentality. I look at it as year to year. Like, as long as I increase my wealth, increase my account, increase my success year to year, I'll get there at some point. But that's definitely not my goal, because again, I know that it's extremely hard to do that. People that do that, great for them. But usually if they went from, zero to a millionaire, there was a huge amount of risk. And if they lost, oh, they could have lost it all. And that's why you always hear me saying about, my position size are typically small. Each one is small relative to my full account size, because I invest based on risk, not reward. Reward would take care of itself. Risk is something that we can actually control, and bear and keep small.
yeah.
So
So
yeah. I mean, it all comes down to risk reward, and
yeah,
and everyone's tolerance. But real quick, last bullet point is that, and it's a very important point too. So with Elon Musk, Tesla bought 1.5 billion in Bitcoin. So MicroStrategy did a year ago or a few months ago. So you see what's kind of going on, right? These corporate America is now kind of being. Oh, and also, Bitcoin futures in the futures market started trading in 2017. Ethereum futures just started trading last week. So what we're seeing now is we're seeing big boy companies, hedge funds, pension funds, banks. Well, not banks, because they can't really yet. But hedge funds, pension funds are moving a lot of their money into specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum, not necessarily the other coins, but those two in general. Because when the futures start trading, that tells you that hedge funds are really in the game now. So there's a theory out there now that there could be $1 trillion, 1 trillion with a T, actually 1.5 trillion was the number, that could flow into crypto, specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum, over the next 3 to 5 years. And that 1.5 trillion dollars would come from mainly the S&P 500. So the 500 biggest, baddest companies in the United States, all of them are kind of looking today because they know what MicroStrategy did, they know what Tesla did. I saw an interview with the CFO of Twitter yesterday. He said they're not doing it yet, but they are investing in Bitcoin. So there's going to be this slow migration of big companies moving a lot of their money on their balance sheet into Bitcoin as an investment. So if that does happen, that's a huge backstop for Bitcoin to keep that thing from dropping like it did before, and just have the price keep rising. So we get $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion in Bitcoin over the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, some people have predictions that Bitcoin is going to get to between $200,000 and $500,000 per coin. If this 1 trillion does hit the market, hit Bitcoin like they say it may, that I think that's hugely possible.
yeah, I remember when people were saying it was going to hit 100,000, nobody ever thought it was possible. Now we're just wondering when.
When, right?
And
Right.
so
When it was at 3,000 in 2017, nobody saw 45,000. In 2.5 years. So yeah. So that 1 trillion that could, again, this is all speculation. We see MicroStrategy, we see Tesla, we see the slow creep of companies putting money into Bitcoin. So if that does happen, 1 trillion hits the market, huge for Bitcoin.
yeah, and so we owe you all the picks.
Picks.
The picks. So what do you want to do? What do you want to do, Leon?
I'll go first.
Oh, you
So my pick this week is a it's not sexy. So Brent and I usually pick usually pretty good movers, stocks that are kind of in the news, that are kind of the stock of the month or of the year. This one is boring. This one is straight boring. but you need a little boring in your portfolio.
need that. You absolutely
you need that. You don't want a ton of like GameStops in your portfolio. When things go wrong, it just blows up. You want some slow movers, but you want some methodical, mature movers. So my company this week is, the name of the company is Air Products and Chemicals. Ticker symbol is A, P as in Paul, D as in dog. Today it closed at $253.58. So what they do, so their primary business is they sell gases and chemical products to industrial companies. So the industries are that they mainly play in technology, energy, healthcare, food, and industrial markets. And what stuck out to me, of course, because again, I think more tech and climate, is that so the materials. So we all know that semiconductors and microchips, they run the world, right? And actually, right now there is a shortage of semiconductors in the world right now. Ford, the auto company Ford, is actually closing plants, and they're going to lose. They said it's going to cost them up to $3 or $4 billion in losses because they cannot get enough chips to build their cars. So there's a huge shortage of chips right now. Air Products and Chemicals, this company, they actually supply the materials to the companies that make the components that go into microchips or semiconductors. They also supply a lot of the hydrogen. So if you never go around, your city, you'll see like hydrogen buses. Sometimes they even have hydrogen cars. They supply a lot of the hydrogen that goes into those buses and cars. So again, it's more on the industrial side, but they actually supply a lot of the materials that go into the things that we use every day, right? Computers, chips, cell phones, all the components that go inside of those. This company supplies a lot of the materials for. So a little information on their fundamentals. The 3-year growth rate on they're growing their profits over the last 3 years, 8.32%. Their revenue the last 3 years has been completely flat. They blame most of that on COVID. They grow their revenues roughly anywhere from 3 to 5% per year, but COVID just kind of brought them back to flat over the last on average over the last 3 years. One thing that they did do last month is they raised their dividend by 12%. Now remember, dividends comes directly out of net profits. If a company is raising their dividends, all the while their profits are flat, that shows you that they are very, very, very efficient in the way they handle their money, and they're very confident that they can pay out this new dividend, and that revenues will pick up in the coming years. So raising their dividend 12% was huge for me.
Or I got to give the downside. You have to know where they're getting the payments for the dividends from. Some companies sometimes will take out what's called leverage money in order to pay bigger dividends to draw people in. Not saying this is the case, but we got to give you the whole picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the CEO on the call, the CEO, that's so what Brent said is absolutely true. Some companies will take out loans to pay dividends. That is a horrible business model.
Horrible.
This company is not doing it. They the CEO was very, 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 very confident about where they are. They're raising their dividends from their profits, so that shows how strong the company is. And their dividends. So once they raise about 12%, they're now paying a dividend of 2.37% per year on their money. So remember, I always say you want to find a dividend that beats inflation. Inflation is typically 2 to 3% per year. They're paying 2.3%, so this meets my threshold. And that's my company, Air Products and Chemicals, ticker symbol A, P as in plant, and D as in dog.
Yep. And so for me, I'm picking Terra, and let me pull it up. Terra Inc. Terra Inc. is a biochemical company, and let me give you the profile. Ticker symbol is CERT, CERT. So basically, they provide software products and technology-enabled services for customers for biosimulation and drug discovery. So they're the company that does a lot of pretrial work and understanding the effects of different chemicals and how those chemicals will affect either a drug, mainly drugs, but also how do you simulate it without spending a whole ton of money on the actual real life process. And so they have contracts all over the world for their services. And the thing I like about them being a biotech company, they're in the mix and also dealing with these biosimulations for pretrial and clinicals. That's what everybody's looking at right now. And Terra, I would say this is one of those stocks that honestly, I would guess you never would have heard of if you didn't watch IEA. The ticker symbol is CERT. They are trading right now at $38.20. That's down 0.75%. I don't think this is going to be a quick run. I don't think this is the company that you're looking at to go, okay, I'm making $1 million tomorrow. I think this is going to be a company that's going to grow. They're small. You're talking about a $5 billion market cap. That's not a lot of money. And they're not widely known. So as they become more popular, I definitely think that the sentiment around the stock is going to grow. And I think this can be one of those ones where you're like, you know what? I'm so glad I listened to IEA on that day. However, do your research, make sure the company, fits what you're looking for. Um, they've already broken through what was some of their price targets were at 36. They've broken through there. They IPO'd maybe less than a year ago. So it's still a relatively new company, but they're through that period where they're working out like price corrections. And normally, IPOs have that pop and then go back to like where they really should be priced at. They've already gone through that process. That's why, you're just now hearing me talk about them. So,
yep, we both actually picked two kind of boring, non-sexy companies. But this is important because a lot of our picks, we do look for more higher volatility because that gets you higher return. But like I said, you don't want a portfolio full of GameStop type companies where they're just running 10-20% per day, because that's hard to sleep at night, and that can blow your account. So companies like these, the ones we picked today, are slow growers. They're solid. They have true businesses behind them. They make actual money. One of them, the one I picked today, actually pays a dividend. The company that raised the dividend out of their profits. So these are the kind of companies you want to have in your portfolio too, to help slow down some of that volatility in your portfolio when you're picking companies like Tesla or like Zoom.
Yeah. And, in this space, the question was asked, how did I'm assuming it's me or Leon, how do we hear about the stocks that we picked, or how do we pick the stocks that we pick? It depends. Sometimes it's from discussion groups that we're in. Sometimes it's research that we do. Oftentimes, it's what Leon and I talk about since we were 15 is stocks like this. So, we might come up with a couple stocks and we'll just talk to each other about why we chose it and literally kind of do the pros and cons of it, and come to a conclusion like, you know what, it's one of the ones that I think we're going to mention. And sometimes it's just it's the one Leon wants to pick. It's the one I want to pick. And he has his reasons, I have mine. And it depends. It really does depend, because some of these stocks I've been following since I was a stockbroker. And I have, like Leon knows, I have a little book of stocks I've been following since like 1999.
Man, you got a book of passwords, you got a book of stocks, a physical book, people. Like I don't do anything with paper. Everything I do is on Google Docs. So we are so different in that respect.
So when I was in college, I used to carry around a little black book. And I remember people used to, like, I would, have a friend and they'd be like, why you got a little black book? And they would grab it and open it. And it was like all these ticker symbols and different stocks that I was following. And, I was walking around campus. Like, that's what like when I walk around campus writing in my little black book, I was writing down stocks. And I've been following some of these stocks for like the last 23 years. And so again, when you hear like about the styles that Leon and I have, I've been analyzing stocks so long, I don't have to spend a lot of time with them. Like I can look and tell it's a loser or it's a winner because I've won and lost so much. And so, I'm talking over, me and Leon been investing since we were 16. We're 44 now. So, we look at stocks, we look at news. Sometimes the news will lead us to a stock. And based off the news, based off of the management, based off of financials, based off of the industry, because also you have to look at the industry. If you're buying into a company that doesn't have a marketplace, even if it's a fantastic product and a very well-made company, it's only so much they can grow because they're going to exceed the marketplace. So, you got to know these things, and we can do it to a point now where it's conversational, which is why we created IEA. But the way we choose stocks, sometimes I wouldn't suggest it for the average person.
Yeah, I have a very, 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 very rigid process I go through, and it covers a lot of information. So the way, like Brent said, Brent will, like I said, we both been doing this since we were 16, and we have totally different styles in the way we pick. Brent has his way. I have mine. Mine is a lot more rigid, a lot more research. Brent will tell you, I love research. Like I love numbers. I love data. So I dive deep into all that. And so my way of picking stocks, I could stay there for 2 hours and tell you. Like it can go that deep. And at some point inside IEA, we're gonna have webinars where we're actually gonna walk through both of our processes on how we actually pick. I'm working on something now that's gonna actually automate a lot of the way I pick now. That's be announcing that in the coming months. So just stay tuned if you really want to know how we go deep into it. At some point we'll cover that in depth.
Yeah, so we're playing around with the idea of doing like a monthly conversation inside the platform where we dig more into just who we are, how we pick, and then also pull out some of the things from some of the members, because some of the members in Investment Education Academy, let's talk about that. They're awesome, and they bring information to us. And GW Pharmaceuticals was a company I know nothing about. One of the Panthers, it wasn't a Panther at the time, but one of the Panthers inside of IEA's Panther group told me about GW Pharmaceuticals. And that company, since that conversation, has gone up over 320%.
And they just got bought out for a few billion. I think it was 6-7 billion last week.
Yeah. So, like I said, Leon and I are refining some of the stuff we're doing inside of the platform. We want to bring more value. But again, we're not going to hide. So that's how there's a lot of different facets that we look at when we're choosing stocks. And for Leon, I'll say it's a whole lot of different data points. So,
yeah, definitely.
but in the end, we're very successful investors in our own rights. And we look forward to providing this information to you all on an ongoing basis. And looking at the numbers of people who are still clicking and dropping comments, I want to say thank you. Your comments have been very entertaining tonight. So you definitely kept us entertained. And for some of the new members that have joined IEA as a result of being here, thank you for the confidence. And we look forward to you being a member for a very long time, because again, it's investing is the base, but we also are looking at real estate, various forms of investing that are just very unique to us. I'll put it that way. And it's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming out of IEA. Everybody, thank you for tonight. Again, Leon's pick was, Leon, what was it?
Air Products and Chemicals, ticker symbol A as in Apple, P as in Paul, D as in dog.
And my stock pick today is Terra, ticker symbol CERT. I definitely look forward to what you all's portfolios look like 3 years from now from picking some of these, because I think we'll be your best friends.
Right.
So everybody have a good night, and we will see you all next Wednesday at the regular time, 9:00. And we'll go from there. And we will not be going to Clubhouse tonight, just for anybody.
Right.